The blacked-out Range Rovers moved through the damp East London streets without fanfare, their windows a shield against the drizzling gray afternoon. Inside the lead vehicle, the Prince and Princess of Wales were not en route to a glittering state banquet or a historic palace. Their destination was a place of raw concrete, echoing hangars, and the potent, untidy energy of youth. At 363 Squadron Air Training Corps in Shadwell, there were no red carpets, only polished linoleum. No hushed reverence, but the distant sound of drill commands and nervous laughter. This was not about ceremony, but connection, not about royalty observing from a distance, but about William and Kate stepping into a world where discipline meets dreams, where young people from all walks of life learn to look up, literally, from the city's tight horizons. What unfolds in the next 2 hours is a story of unexpected confessions, shared vulnerabilities, and the quiet, powerful moment when a future king finds himself not as a figurehead, but as a fellow airman, remembering the boy he once was. The industrial-style building of 363 Shadwell Squadron hummed with a different kind of electricity. The usual Tuesday evening buzz of cadets polishing boots, practicing drill, and huddling over navigation charts have been amplified tenfold by a secret everyone had been ordered to keep for weeks. The air tasted of floor cleaner, starched uniforms, and palpable, nerve-jangling anticipation. Flight Sergeant Zoe Carter, a woman in her 20s with a calm demeanor that belied her own inner fluttering, did a final walk through. Her eyes scanned the ranks of teenagers standing ramrod straight. Eyes front, chin up. "Breathe," she said, her voice low but carrying. "They're people. Just be yourselves." Outside, the convoy arrived. The doors opened, and the familiar figures emerged. Prince William, tall in a dark blue suit, and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, elegant in a tailored emerald green coat, were met not by officials, but by the squadron's youngest cadet, a 13-year-old named Aisha, who had won the honor in a draw. Her hand, as she presented a small bouquet, trembled only slightly. Kate immediately bent her knees, coming down to Aisha's eye level. "What beautiful flowers! Thank you so much. And isn't your uniform smart?" she said, her voice warm and genuine. The ice, thick in the London air, cracked with Aisha's relieved smile. The visit began in the main hall, a space usually used for inspections and briefings. William and Kate moved down the line, not with a perfunctory handshake and nod, but with a purposeful engagement. William stopped before a tall, serious-faced cadet, his uniform adorned with several proficiency badges. "Ah, a first-class cadet," William noted, peering at the badges. "And you got your navigation." "The hardest one I always found." The cadet, Leo, blinked, his composure slipping into surprise. You know the badges, sir?" William gave a wry, knowing smile. "I was an air cadet, too, a long time ago. I remember struggling with the meteorology test. All those cloud formations." A shared laugh rippled through the immediate group. It wasn't a royal remembering a photo op. It was a shared experience, a common language found in the details of syllabus and achievement. Meanwhile, Kate was drawn to a display of community project photos. She pointed to an image of cadets cleaning a local park. "This is wonderful. It's so important, this connection to where you live." "Who led this?" A cadet named Jamal stepped forward, initially speaking too fast before calming under her attentive gaze. He explained how they'd identified the neglected park and planned the cleanup. "We got the local council to donate the bags, and a bakery gave us pastries," he said. Kate listened, nodding. "That's proper leadership, seeing a problem and mobilizing people to fix it. That's a skill you'll use forever." Her praise wasn't vague. It was specific, tying their action directly to a core life skill, validating their effort in a way that resonated deeply. The royal couple then split to experience different activities. William was led to a flight simulator rig, a basic setup with a monitor, joystick, and pedals. Cadet instructor Kieran, 17, with dreams of becoming a commercial pilot, was tasked with giving the future king a lesson. "Okay, sir, we're lined up on runway 08 at London City Airport," Kieran began, slipping into instructor mode. William's large hands enveloped the joystick. The virtual plane weaved alarmingly. "I'm blaming the crosswind," William joked, his tongue poking slightly from his concentration. Kieran, forgetting protocol for a second, reached over and adjusted William's hand position. "A bit lighter grip, sir. She's not a bulldozer." William relaxed his hold, and the plane steadied. For a few minutes, there were just two aviators, one teaching, one learning, the cockpit a great leveler. "Better," Kieran said, and William's grin was one of genuine achievement. In another room, Kate sat at a table with 3 cadets who were assembling a small drone from a kit. Shy, tech-minded Anya was explaining the circuitry when Kate noticed her hands were shaking as she tried to solder a tiny connection. "May I try?" Kate asked gently. She took the soldering iron, and under Anya's guidance, her own hands steady and careful, she made the connection. "Teamwork," she said, smiling as the LED flickered to life. She then asked them not about the drone, but about their schools, their families, what they loved about living in London. She spoke of her own children's curiosity about the world. The conversation flowed from tech to life, the soldering iron a bridge between their worlds. Kate wasn't just visiting. She was participating, getting her hands quite literally into the work they did. The energy in the room had shifted from nervous formality to something warmer, more dynamic. The initial awe had been chipped away by shared laughter over a wobbly flight simulator and the focused silence of a soldering task. William, guided by the commanding officer, Flight Lieutenant Andrews, was now shown to a more secluded corner of the hangar where a single, sleek canopy of a Grobji 109B motor glider sat detached from its fuselage, used for training purposes. "We use this to teach aircraft recognition and basic principles of flight," Andrews explained. William's posture changed. The polite, engaged visitor seemed to step back, and the former RAF search and rescue pilot stepped forward. He ran his hand along the smooth fiberglass curve of the canopy with a tactile recognition. "I've always had a soft spot for gliders. The purest form of flight, isn't it? Just you and the air." He turned to the small group of advanced cadets gathered around. "Who here has been up in one?" A few hands went up. "What's the first thing they teach you about finding a thermal?" He asked, his tone now that of a colleague, a fellow pilot testing knowledge. A cadet named Sophia, her hair tucked neatly under her cap, answered tentatively. "Watch for birds, sir, and cumulus clouds." "Exactly," Williams said, his face lighting up. "The birds are the best clue. They don't waste energy." He then crouched down by the wheel assembly, pointing. "See this? On a windy day, you have to keep this brake locked on the ground like your life depends on it. I've seen a glider try to take off with its ground crew still attached." He told a brief, self-deprecating story from his early training days, a minor mishap that highlighted the importance of procedure. The cadets leaned in, captivated. This wasn't from a textbook. It was from lived experience, delivered with a grin that said, "We've all been there." His question about their career hopes sparked a flood of answers. RAF pilot, aircraft engineer, cyber specialist, even one who wanted to be an air traffic controller. William listened to each, his responses tailored. To the aspiring engineer, "The mechanical mind is priceless. We'd be grounded without it." To the one interested in cyber, "The next frontier of defense is right there on a screen." Crucial work. He then shared, quietly, why the air cadets had mattered to him. "When I was your age, it gave me a focus, a structure. It was a place where what you did, what you learned, mattered more than, well, anything else. It taught me about teamwork in a way nothing else did. You're part of something bigger here. Remember that." The cadets were silent, understanding the weight of his unspoken words. For him, this had been a sanctuary from a world of relentless scrutiny. Across the building, Kate was experiencing a different kind of intensity. She had been ushered into the radio ops room, where cadets learned field communications. The space was dim, lit by the glow of radio sets and a large digital map. She was introduced to a unique project, a group of cadets led by a quietly passionate 17-year-old named Ravi, had built a satellite ground station from a kit and had made contact with the International Space Station's amateur radio station, simply listening to the astronauts' scheduled call with schools. "We recorded the pass," Ravi said, his voice trembling with pride as he played the crackly audio. A faint, calm voice from space echoed in the small room. "Hello to all the students on Earth." Kate's hands went to her chest. "That's extraordinary," she whispered, her eyes wide. To hear a voice from up there, from your own equipment. She asked intricate questions about the antenna alignment, the software-defined radio they used, her curiosity genuine and deep. Ravi, transforming from nervous teen to expert, explained it all. Then, Kate posed a different question. "When you heard that voice, what did it make you feel?" "About our world." The question hung in the air. Another cadet, Maya, spoke softly. "It made Earth feel small and precious, like we're all in this tiny, beautiful thing together." Kate nodded, a profound empathy in her gaze. "That's it exactly. It gives you that perspective, doesn't it? A sense of global connection." She linked their technical achievement directly to a humanitarian worldview, elevating it from a hobby to a philosophy. Before leaving, she made a request. "The next time you make a pass, could you try to get a recording for my children? I'd love them to hear that." The cadets beamed. They were no longer just showing a princess a project. They were being entrusted with inspiring future generations. The structured activities gave way to a more informal gathering in the canteen, a room that usually smelled of instant coffee and toast but was today filled with the aroma of brewing tea and plates of biscuits. The cadets, still in disciplined rows but with shoulders slightly relaxed, were now allowed to ask questions. A hand shot up immediately. A young cadet, face flushed, asked William, "Was it scary flying helicopters in the RAF?" William took a sip of tea, considering his words. "Yes, sometimes," he admitted frankly, the honesty causing a ripple, "especially in the search and rescue role. You're flying in terrible weather at night to help someone in terrible trouble. The training kicks in, but there's always an edge. The scariest part was knowing someone's life was depending on your team getting it right." He didn't glorify it. He humanized it, speaking of fear and responsibility as two sides of the same coin. But the feeling when you got someone to safety, that makes up for all of it. He then turned the question, "What's the most challenging thing you've done here?" The conversation became a two-way street. Kate was asked about her role. A thoughtful cadet named Chloe asked, "How do you balance all the things you have to do with being a mom as well?" Kate smiled, acknowledging the complexity of the question. "It's a constant juggle, and I won't pretend it's easy. Some days the balls drop, but having a supportive team and a very understanding husband helps." She glanced at William, who gave a small, private smile back. And at the heart of it, whether it's here with you or at home, it's about trying to connect with people, to listen, and hopefully do some good. Being a mother grounds me. It reminds me what all this work is ultimately for. The future, your future. Her answer was devoid of platitudes, instead offering a relatable glimpse into her reality. Then came a lighter moment. A cadet, emboldened, asked if they'd ever consider letting Prince George or Princess Charlotte join the Air Cadets one day. William and Kate exchanged a look of amused horror love. "I think they'd love the flying," William said. "But Charlotte would probably try to take over the drill commands within 5 minutes," Kate added with a laugh. "George would be straight to the engines. He's very practical." The room erupted in laughter. For a moment, they were just parents sharing an amusing insight into their children's personalities, further dissolving any remaining barriers. It was during this informal session that a small, significant incident occurred. A cadet, rushing to pour more tea, fumbled and spilled a cup near where Kate was standing. The room froze in a moment of pure dread. The cadet, a boy named Sam, turned beet red, stammering an apology. But before any staff could intervene, Kate had already grabbed a claw from a nearby table. "No harm done at all," she said cheerfully, mopping up the spill herself. "These things happen. It's only tea." She then engaged Sam in a quiet conversation about his role in the squadron, putting him completely at ease. The act was small, spontaneous, and spoke volumes more than any prepared speech. It was a lesson in grace under pressure, witnessed by all. The final phase of the visit was a demonstration, a chance for the cadets to showcase the core skills that defined them. The hangar doors were opened to a crisp patch of tarmac outside. The drizzle had stopped, leaving the air clean and cold. William and Kate stood side by side, watching as a drill team, their boots hitting the ground in perfect, thunderous unison, performed a complex, weaponless display of precision and discipline. The raw power and cohesion of the team was palpable. William leaned over to Kate, murmuring, "Take me back." There was a palpable respect in his eyes, not just for the performance, but for the grit it represented. Next, a field camouflage exercise was set up. Cadets, faces streaked with green and brown, emerged silently from behind mock hides, demonstrating fieldcraft. One team set up a lightweight antenna in seconds. William, unable to resist, asked the team leader about the radio procedure they'd use. The cadet responded with a correct phonetic alphabet code. "Good. Clear comms are a lifesaver." William nodded, the RAF veteran affirming their training. Then the focus shifted skyward. The squadron's crowning glory was its partnership with a nearby airfield for flying experiences. Today, due to the weather, a small training aircraft, a Viking glider, had been towed to the site for static display. The cadets involved in aviation were gathered around it. William was in his element again, discussing the glide ratio with the civilian instructor. But it was Kate who noticed a young cadet, a girl of about 15 named Lily, hanging back, looking at the glider with a mix of longing and apprehension. Kate moved away from the main group and approached her. "Do you want to fly?" she asked softly. Lily nodded, swallowing. "I'm scared of heights," she confessed, as if admitting a terrible failure. Kate's response was immediate and kind. "You know, that's very brave. To be scared of something and still want to face it, to still want to go up there. That's real courage." She shared how she, too, had to overcome nerves when she first undertook helicopter lessons early in her relationship with William. The fear doesn't always go away, but you learn to carry it with you. And what you get in return, the view, the feeling, is worth it. She didn't dismiss the fear. She honored it, reframing it as a companion to bravery, not its enemy. Lily stood a little taller. The visit was drawing to a close. In a final, unplanned gesture, William asked if he could address the entire squadron, not as a visiting dignitary, but as one of their own. The 70 cadets were assembled at attention. William stood before them, his voice firm and clear, carrying in the hangar. "What you have here is special. The skills you're learning, discipline, teamwork, leadership, citizenship, they're the foundations for anything you want to be in life." "I know. They were my foundations." He looked along the ranks, making eye contact. "You represent the very best of your generation, diverse, committed, looking upwards. The future of our communities and of our country is safer and brighter because of young people like you. Thank you for having us today. Keep up the brilliant work. Carry on." The words "carry on" were a military dismissal, but also a blessing, an instruction to continue their journey. A spontaneous, thunderous 3 cheers erupted from the cadets, a traditional and heartfelt show of respect. The sound was deafening, filled with a pride that vibrated in the concrete space. The goodbyes were warmer, more personal than the hellos. Handshakes were firmer, smiles easier. William shared a final joke with the flight simulator cadets, while Kate hugged the young cadet who had presented the flowers, Aisha, and made a point of finding Ravi to thank him again for the space station recording. The royal couple lingered at the door, turning for a final wave to the still assembled squadron, a sea of blue uniforms and bright, earnest faces. As the Range Rovers pulled away, the formal structure inside the squadron building dissolved into a joyful chaos. Cadets buzzed in groups, replaying moments, comparing what was said to them. "He told me about glider brakes. She helped me solder. Did you hear him cheer for us?" The commanding officers let the noise continue, smiling. The visit had been a validation, a shot of adrenaline straight into the heart of the squadron. In the car, William and Kate were quiet for a moment, watching the streets of Shadwell pass by, now darkened under the evening sky. William finally spoke, loosening his tie. "That was fantastic. Really took me back." Kate nodded, resting her head against the seat. "They're incredible young people. So much talent, so much spirit." They discussed specific cadets, the aspiring pilot, the shy-tech genius, the girl afraid of heights. The visit wasn't a ticked box on an itinerary. It had been a genuine engagement that had left a mark on them, too. Back at the squadron, the cadets were finally dismissed. As they changed out of their uniforms, the conversations continued. For Leo, the first-class cadet, the fact that William knew the navigation badge was the hardest wasn't just a detail. It was a connection to a lineage. For Anya, whose hands had stopped shaking, she felt a quiet confidence. She had taught a princess to solder. For Sam, who spilled the tea, the story was already becoming a legend of royal kindness, not one of his shame. The story of the royal visit would be told, and retold in the squadron for years. But beyond the photos and the headlines that would follow, the real impact was imprinted on individual hearts. William and Kate hadn't just visited the London Air Cadets. They had joined them, momentarily, in their world. They had swapped stories, shared laughs, acknowledged fears, and recognized dreams. They had left behind not just a memory of a glamorous day, but a powerful, affirming message. What you are doing here matters. You matter. And for young people learning to navigate both the skies and their own futures, that recognition was a fuel that would power them for a long, long time to come. The hangar might be empty now, but the echo of that day's connection between royalty and youth, between past inspiration and future aspiration, lingered in the air, as tangible as the polished linoleum and the smell of ambition.